On to another episode of Truckers Voices, the podcast where we share the real stories, real experiences, and real voices from the trucking industry. I'm your host, Tim Taylor, and tonight we've got an incredible conversation lined up. Whether you're rolling down the highway, parked at a truck stop, or listening from home, we appreciate you taking the time to join us. This show is all about people who keep America moving. The professional driver, the families behind them, and everyone working across the industry. Tonight, we're joined by a very special guest, Nathan Wick. We'll hear about his journey in trucking, his experiences on the road, and some of the lessons he's learned along the way. A special thank you to Reese Across America. That's reaseacrossamerica.org/radio. And you can reach them and catch them on iHeartRadio, TuneIn, and the Odyssey app. Before we dive in, make sure to share this stream, tag a driver, and let folks know we're live tonight on Truckers Voices. Opinions expressed on Truckers Voices are those of the host and the guest and do not reflect the views of any employers, affiliates, or organizations for informational and entertainment purposes only. Well, good Thursday evening, everybody. I hope you're doing good. And if you're out there driving today, I hope that you are having a good, safe day. And I hope that whenever you get to where you're going, that you'll get the proper rest that you need. Hey, it's time for Truckers Voices again, and we appreciate you riding along with us today. It is a good day to have a conversation on the podcast, okay? And I hope that you all are ready to buckle down and get right involved with this podcast with our special guest, Nathan Wick. All right. And also, I just want to let everybody know, hey, I'm riding along tonight. You know, my co-host, Steve, he's not here. He's over at Matt's in Louisville, Kentucky. Got something special going on over there. We definitely going to miss having Steve on the program tonight because every time Steve's on the program, you know, it kind of gives me a break in between questions. But I can handle the show by myself for sure. And, you know, so we're going to get right into it here in just a minute and get ready for the podcast here. But before I bring my guest on here, let's give him a proper introduction and a hand of applause here. Okay. Everybody, Nathan Wick. Nathan, you there with me?
Tim, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you, brother. I can hear you. I can't see you, but I can hear you.
Oh, I cannot hear you right now.
Okay. All right. Well, we are live on the air. I am going to take you out of there. And if you'll just log out and log right back in, maybe that'll fix it. Okay.
I'll be back in a
All right. So he was having some technical difficulties there. We thought that he had that straightened out, but that ain't no problem. That ain't no problem at all. You know, Nate, he'll get right back in there. These things happen sometimes. Hey, we were talking before the show and everything was good. And, you know, I could hear him and see him and all that kind of good stuff. But let's see if he's in here now. Hey, Nate, can you hear me?
Uh-oh.
Hey, Nate.
Can't hear you.
All right. So he's having some technical problems. I don't know what happened there. So we'll get back with you in just a minute there, Nate. All right. Hey, the unexpected happens sometimes. So we'll bring him back in here whenever he gets those things resolved there. So I tell you what, sometimes we just cannot help it there. Trucking, you know, trucking has been a part of my life, you know, for the last 30 something years. And I can say that, it has been essential to me. Trucking has been an essential part of everything that I do every day. And I was just thinking the other day about, my journey and, when I first got started in the trucking industry, how everything went. Man, I was green as green could be, and I can kind of tell y'all a little story. On my first run out, they put me in an old Brigadier truck, and that truck, man, I could see the other side of the highway through the floorboard. Now, I that's that definitely wasn't legal, but I didn't know any better, and I just jumped on it and got right on in there, and did my job. And there's some more things I could tell you about that. My first day out, as far as being a freight hauler or freight, I got over to a DC, and they asked me to unhook from the trailer, and whenever I unhooked from the trailer, I had a problem, getting the fifth wheel unlatched because I had worked for Pepsi Cola for 2 years, so we never ever really had to unhook those trailers. Let me see if Nate's back in here. Hey, Nate, can you hear us?
Unfortunately, I don't know if you can hear me, but I cannot hear you.
Okay,
Um,
I can hear you, but
Trying to
I
figure
don't.
out how this is. Um, Trying to figure out where we're gonna go with this.
I tell
Uh,
you, hey Nate, I tell you what. Let me. Hey, I just hang up. I mean, knock off of the air, and I'm going to put you on a phone call with us. Okay? You can't hear me. All right, folks. So we're having those difficulties there. So y'all will just bear with us here. I thought we had it all planned out whenever I was talking to him earlier, but yeah, sometimes those things happen, and we can't help it. But where I was going with that while ago was whenever I got there, and I couldn't get that fifth wheel unlatched, and there was an older gentleman out there that come over and helped me, and he he actually pulled the fifth wheel for me, and he showed me how to do it. So I mean, that was over 30 something years ago. But one of the most dangerous things, and I shouldn't say that word dangerous, but uh, it was dark, and I had to take the seal off of the truck, and the seal was a metal seal, and I didn't know it, and I just grabbed it with my hands, and I just ripped that seal off, and it just sliced off 4 of my fingers there. So that's some of the things that I've done that hasn't been too good for me in the freight industry in the past there. But yeah, I don't know. I really don't know what's going on with Nate's phone there. But let's see if we can get him straightened out here. Okay. So, man, we were doing good earlier. We were doing really good earlier on this thing. I'm going to try to get him on the phone. If I can get this phone tagged up, and we'll see what we can do on this end of it. He's calling me now on this other phone. Hey, Nate. Yeah, I can hear you now on my phone, but I'm going to call you on the show phone, and we will definitely get you on the air here. Okay? No, we're fine with it. All right, be right back with you. Hmm. All right, everybody, y'all just hang with us here. We'll get this thing going here, and um, unfortunately, this is what happens there. Let me see what I can do about getting Nate on the phone.
Hi, if you record your name and reason for calling, I'll see if this person.
Tim, can you hear me?
I can hear you, Nate. I hope that the listening audience can hear us. So we'll find out here in just a minute,
So do
okay?
I.
Can you hear
All right.
me?
I can hear you.
All right. So let's see if the listening audience can hear us out there. I just need somebody to go in the chat here and tell me that you can hear Nate on the other side of the phone here. Anybody can hear us on the other side of the phone?
Check.
Do-do-do-do-do-do. I see I know we got some people out there listening.
Oh, come on. Scott Post has to be listening.
Yeah, Scott Post, or somebody's got to be listening out there. If they could just tell me in the chat if they can hear us. Okay, we got somebody on YouTube that can hear us there, so that's good, Nate. That's good.
That's wonderful. I'm sorry for any issues. But it kind of comes with sitting in the middle of an airfield. We're surrounded by radio signals.
Hey, that ain't no problem. Those things happen, and we're definitely gonna make sure that it works there, Nate. So let's go ahead and get started with the interview.
All right.
And we'll just jump right on into it there. How about that?
That sounds great.
All right. Thank you for taking your time with me there, Nate. Nate, let's just get to know you a little bit. Welcome to the show again. One more time. Welcome to the show again.
Thank you.
And for folks who may not know it yet, can you tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from?
My name is Nathan Wick. I've been a professional driver for 31 years now. I have accumulated almost 3 million miles safe driving. I'm married to my beautiful wife, Sarah. We've been together 24 years, married 22. I have 3 children, Alyssa, 26, Lauren's 20, and my son, Ethan, will be 17. I'm also the grandfather of 2 wonderful grandsons, Miles and Wade.
Nathan, what first sparked your interest in trucking and eventually led you to become a driver?
I'm a 3rd generation driver. Both my grandfathers drove truck, and my father drove for a while. And there was just something about the stories they would tell around the table. Maybe some of them were a little tall tales, but they still sparked some interest in it. And I always kept it as an idea of something to do. And then when I turned 18, I found a job hauling produce in an under CDL straight truck, and I've been driving since.
I got you. So do you remember your first day behind the wheel of a commercial big truck, and what was that experience like for you, Nate?
My first day.
Yeah.
We loaded the truck. I was a little nervous. I mean, the truck was a lot bigger than I was used to. So I jumped in a stick, and I took off down the road, got to one of my first lights, and I had it in first, and I popped the clutch, and I heard everything in the back dump over.
Oh, no. So what was you hauling that day?
It was produce for restaurants.
Oh,
Anything from eggs to cartons of cases of beef. So I lost a couple cases of eggs on that clutch pop.
Yeah, definitely scrambled eggs at that point in time for sure. So,
Yes, I did.
Nathan, how did you end up coming to drive for FedEx? And what does your typical day look for you?
I started with Express a little under 5 years ago. I had been with another company for roughly 15 years. My time ended with them. I left on good terms. I just needed to change of pace. I came across FedEx from other competitors at the Truck Driving Championships, and a good friend of mine, Rob Janke, had given me a blanket at the National Truck Driving Championships with a big FedEx plane on it. And when I was considering places, I'm like, oh, I love aircraft. I like driving truck. Let's see if we can bring the two together. And it was because of that blanket, I just decided to make an attempt at Express. I came in, I started as a courier, and within about 3 months, they said, you have a CDL. I think we could use you elsewhere. And they put me into RTD, which is Ramp Transport Driver. And now I have a run from Minneapolis to Fargo every night. I wait for an aircraft to come from Memphis. When it lands, we offload, and the cans come right from the aircraft, go right into my trailer, which has rollers in it. The cans that are in the aircraft just go right in. We shut the doors, and I'm on my way to Fargo, and then I grab freight from Fargo and bring it back to Minneapolis to go on the next plane to Memphis.
Now, what's your typical day look like starting out? You start out at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning, or something like that?
I start at 6:30 p.m. I'm usually departing around 7. Usually back to the station at about 4:35ish, somewhere around there.
Yeah, and how is it like? Sometimes things happen, and the plane may be late for whatever reason or another. How is it whenever you get to one of the stations, and you got all the drivers sitting there waiting on you? I mean, how does that make you feel sometimes?
Fargo definitely waits for me because the cans that I have to be offloaded and then sorted for the rest of the stations all throughout, as far as Minot and Bismarck. So they rely on me, and I got to get there at a good time. But like you said, aircrafts can be late due to weather, maintenance, whatever. But once it arrives, we offload it, and we're ready to go.
I got you. I got you. So speaking of, driving a truck, what do you love most about the life of driving a truck and life on the road? I mean, just getting out and going. What do you love most about that?
Constantly changing. There isn't there even if I have the same route every night, but something changes. It could be the weather, whether good or bad. Sometimes the snow gets a little heavy. The winds can pick up, but sometimes it's just, I get lucky and I get to see the northern lights while driving, and a full moon at night. It's beautiful.
Speaking of the Northern Lights, that's something I have never really got to see a lot of. Now this year, something happened with the weather, and however that happens. But anyway, we could actually see some of it down here in South Georgia this year, and man, I tell you what's amazing, and that's something that you get to experience, quite often there. And so, yeah, I mean that's nice. Let's talk about your story and overcoming
Okay.
some of the medical things, that tragedy that had happened to you. Tell us a little bit about that. Let's jump into that for a little bit.
Okay. On January 2nd, 2020, about 10:30 p.m., I was the last driver out of the yard, and I was hooking my set at the door for my previous company, and my back trailer wouldn't light up, and I was trying to work the problem, get to find out where the issue was. And when I stepped back to look over everything, I lost my footing on ice, and next thing I know, I wake up, I'm underneath the trailer looking up at a kingpin, and my Apple Watch is going ballistic. It's making all these noises, it's vibrating, and it got my attention. That's for sure. I looked at my wrist. It said, Apple Watch has detected that you have fallen. If you do not respond in 10, 9, and it just kept counting down. And I was all fuzzy from hitting the ground, and I just said, I've fallen, but I'm okay. And I don't know how long I laid on the ground, but as I rolled, I noticed that my shoulder started hurting really bad. And that was the shoulder that I had just had surgery on 7 or 8 months prior. But the thing I was most worried about is the fact that I didn't know where I was. I had no idea what was going on. And I finally got to my hands and knees and crawled to my truck. and made it to my phone. As I got to my feet, I realized I got to get inside. I kept feeling around, seeing if there's any blood or just anything. And I made it inside, contacted my manager and told them, I think I fell down. I'm going to take a minute. And 20 minutes later, I didn't feel right. So I went home, did what I shouldn't do after a concussion. I fell asleep in my chair, woke up a couple hours later, went to bed. Next morning, I realized I'm not getting much better. Went, reported it to my company. They sent me to see a doctor, pretty lackadaisical about what happened, said you bumped your head, you got angry muscles, go back to work. But in the process, at that clinic.
Yeah. That's a pretty tragic thing there. And what some of the things that you did as far as after all that happened? I know that you had to go through a process of recovery there. So take us through that. I think we lost him off the phone line there. Let's see if we can get him back. This show is not working out too well for us tonight. See if we can get him back on the line here.
Hi, if you're calling, I'll.
Hey, Nate,
Hello,
you back?
Tim.
Sorry about that, man. I don't know what happened. It just dropped out on us there. So we'll continue from there. So go ahead and continue our story about that. I can always go back and edit a lot of this out.
I don't know where we left off.
Well, you was telling us about your story there, your tragedy. You had fell down and woke up and
Okay.
yeah.
Okay, so I had fallen down, woken up, and I realized that I was underneath the truck, looking up, or underneath the trailer, looking up at the pin. At that point, I had to get up. Took a few minutes, and I crawled to my truck, and I made my way inside and let my management know that, I think I've been hurt. I think I'm okay. And then I gave it a few minutes, and then I wasn't. So I didn't take the run that night. I went home and did what I shouldn't have done, and I fell asleep.
Yeah.
So at that point, I woke up later that afternoon, I woke up, the next morning, and I contacted my work and said, "Hey, I've fallen, and I need to go see a doctor." They said, "Okay." Well, so they sent me to a doctor. Doctor was pretty loose with how they.
Oh boy, some of these things. Everybody, hey, we're having so much technical problems. We're just going to have to end the live now. I'll see if I can get Nate back on the phone. I'll do a recording, and we will get it uploaded. You can go back and listen to it there. But with all the technical problems we're having keeping him on the line there, we're just going to try to revamp and do it over again. So I'm going to end the broadcast now, and I'll let you know when I get it up there, and you can go back and listen to it. Thank y'all for tuning in.